I'm gonna compare some iconic vintage gear with their plug-in versions, and anyone who can guess them right is gonna get $100. Let's do it. So first up is the 1176 Blue Stripe versus the CLA 76 plugins, which is my favorite vocal compressor plugin. So I'm gonna try and match the settings and compression exactly.
So, last night got way out of hand. You know, I don't care enough to understand. I don't remember enough to even try to forget.
Out of these 5 pieces, this is the plugin I'm most familiar with. I've used it on hundreds of vocal tracks, so I'm thinking if there is a difference, I'll be able to tell.
Oh, you're pretty good company, I want you around.
Sound pretty close.
I can't be sure. Let me buy you a drink before you get out of town. Oh, you're pretty good company, I want you around.
I honestly don't hear any difference. Let's see if someone else does.
So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play you both and I'm gonna tell you which is which. So I'll say like, here's the plugin, here's the hardware. I'll let you hear it like twice. And then I'll like play another song to mess up your ears. And then I'll go back and I'll just blindly play them. And then you can see if you can tell which is which. Does that make sense?
Okay, cool.
All right, here's the plugin first.
Last night got way out of hand. You know, I don't care enough to understand. Last night got way out of hand. You know, I don't care enough to understand. I don't remember enough.
I'll take a shot at guessing. I'll just choose a random order after you can say which one you think is which. Here is A.
Last night got way out of hand. You know, I don't care enough to understand.
Here's B.
Last night got way out of hand. You know, I don't care enough to understand.
I think A was the hardware.
Yeah, you got it.
Was it?
Yeah.
Cool. There's like a touch of something different. It's really subtle, and I feel like it could be compensated for pretty easily.
What did you hear about it?
The saturation on quicker sounds. I don't know if it's just like hitting a touch harder or saturating a touch harder on faster moving pieces. My ear was picking up on those things.
Next up is the Neve 1081 EQ by UAD versus a real vintage Neve console on kick and snare. I dialed in a tone on the plugin first and then tried to match it on the hardware.
That's gonna be harder than I thought.
1 hour later.
That's pretty close now, right? This plugin.
It's so subtle. It's already safe to say that it doesn't matter at all.
Let's try and make a guess, okay?
B was the plugin. The snare to me sounds exactly the same, like no difference, but there's a little low mid bump in the hardware version.
Yeah, I agree. I could hear that difference too. It's a little fatter on the kick, yeah. All right, we're gonna try the SSL G bus compressor from Waves versus the SSL G compressor rack unit.
I've used this plugin on my mix bus for over a decade, and once again, we're super close here. But I think the hardware does sound a touch more open or bright or three-dimensional. Let's see if Nolly agrees.
Here's beep.
Cool. So I think the second one was the hardware. To be honest, I'm only really listening to the snare drum when I did that comparison. It felt like the snare had more body on the attack, like the transient just had more of like that kind of 200 hertzy stuff in it when you played them there. I think B was the hardware.
All right, this is costing me more than I thought, but next, let's try the Pultec EQ 1A hardware versus the Waves plugin.
The first one was hardware, second one plugin. So I feel like I heard more of like sub. Both sound great though.
So now we'll try the Fairchild 660 Real Deal versus the Waves plugin.
With all this time.
This was the most challenging for me to dial in, mainly because I don't use Fairchild plugins at all in the mix. So both the hardware and the software were super unfamiliar.
What did I do? Okay, these settings definitely do not match, so we're gonna have to try and do it by ear.
It seemed like the knob positions and the meter action between the two didn't quite match up, but in the end, I was able to get it pretty close. Now, I do hear a slightly fatter, richer sound on the hardware, but remember the cost of these things. Is it a $60,000 difference?
All right, here's A.
Another night you left me spinning round, coming down, pacing my apartment.
Here's beat.
Another night you left me spinning round, coming down, pacing my apartment.
I'm gonna go with B as the analog.
Yeah, you're right. I've always mixed completely in the box, and this test just cemented my belief that plugins are plenty good enough. Yeah, some had more differences than others, but if we're honest, these emulations are really, really close. And most of these Waves plugins were released a long time ago.
In the low end, this could just be by chance, maybe generating harmonics. I feel like I heard more of like sub. That's what I heard, you know, or I just got lucky.
So while everyone did guess right,
You got it. Oh, no way. I got it?
All right, well, that's really,
they all said it was more just a game of spot the difference rather than a real sonic preference that would affect their mix.
I'm thinking more about the psychology you're using on me, actually, as opposed to listening to it.
So whether you're working with the plugin or the hardware, in the end, you're still going to react based on what you're hearing. So it's not a make or break one way or the other. So what do you think? Could you hear a difference? Was it more or less than you expected? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, check out another studio experiment right here.